Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Clean Bowl podcast. With me, Sab, back with another episode. And today, as you can see from the title, it's all about the king himself. Yes, Virat Kohli, that man, back in the headlines again. Now, this not necessarily for something he's done on the field, which he's been doing plenty of in the IPL as of late, but this is actually for something that's happened off the field. Kohli, notoriously a very private, reserved individual off the field, despite his fame and notoriety. He's actually been in the headlines for things that he said with his team, RCB. They have their own podcast, much like any other sports team. And he had a sit down interview with his team's podcast. And he spoke about a lot of things. Initially this week, just the first kind of half of the interview was released onto YouTube. Now, the wider interview has been released, so go and check it out if you haven't watched it. It's an incredible interview, really. Quite a lot to unpack and analyze. No, we're not going to get into the whole interview because he talks about a lot of different things, family life and his friends and RCB and his cricketing journey, which I think most of us all know. That isn't the point of today's video. It's actually to talk about, well, some of the more juicier stuff. Now, look, this is not a gossip channel. This is about cricket stuff. But that we feel, and I certainly feel, and a lot of Indian fans feel, that Kohli still has a big part to play in Indian cricket in the Test arena. Well, the T20 team is flourishing. They've just won the World Cup, but he only plays the one format now, obviously with a view to the 2027 World Cup. But in Test cricket, where he retired last year, a lot of us feel that he could still be competing. His fitness is still as good as anyone else's. His runs, albeit in white ball cricket in 2020 and ODI, are still phenomenal. He's still got it. So it begs the question, why can't he still be playing Test cricket for India? So in this interview, he had quite a lot to say. And the main kind of bulk of the main quote from the interview is that he is not in the space to prove my worth and value. So, two of the big talking points from this is obviously his reiteration and his desire to represent India in next year's World Cup in South Africa. I think we already know this. That's why him and Rohit Sharma have not retired from that format. They're still playing, they're still contributing, they're still scoring runs, and they're going to be playing a lot of one-day cricket. You're going to see a lot of them in the next 18 months or so. Again, when Kohli spoke about this, there was definitely an irritation in his voice. He was very annoyed that he was kind of being asked, do you want to play in this? Well, of course I do. In fact, his quote, people say, we're in mid 2026. I've been asked so many times, do you want to play 27? Why would I leave my home, get my stuff over, and be like, I don't know what I want? Of course, if I'm playing, I want to play cricket. I want to carry on. Playing a World Cup for India is amazing. Now, stats-wise, as I said at the beginning of the video, Kohli is still producing big numbers. In his, he scored 300 and 3 half centuries in his last 7 ODI innings. Those are against New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia. So 3 of the bigger teams in world cricket. He's played domestic 50-over games in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. He had 2 innings and he scored 131 and 77. And in the current IPL, he is the 3rd highest run getter. He scored 484 runs from 12 innings with 103 50s and a strike rate of 165. So if that doesn't tell you that Virat Kohli is still the man, nothing will. And that's a proof that we already knew of his greatness and enduring legacy is India, probably and maybe arguably India's greatest ever white ball player. So yeah, look, there's no reason for him not to play in the 20s. I think there's just this fear that I and other Indian fans have that because in India it's not as straightforward as you play well and you get picked in the team. We all know there's a huge amount of politics involved. There's a huge amount of discrimination based on where you're from, what cities you're from. They'll tell you that doesn't exist. It definitely still does exist, but there's a lot of backstage politics with the BCCI and the selection committee and obviously the coach, and there's a huge amount going on. So there's a lot of people who think that is the reason why Kohli retired from Test cricket. There's a lot of rumours because when you ask Gautam Gambhir and Ajit Agarkar, the chief selector, well, are you going to pick Rohit Sharma? Are you going to pick Virat Kohli? They're sort of non-committal. Like everybody has to perform, everybody has to deliver. We want them to keep scoring runs, but no one is guaranteed to play. So I mean, these are kind of non-committal answers, but it leaves kind of fear in Indian fans' mind that these two somehow may not be picked for that flight to South Africa in about a year or so's time. He didn't confirm anything outright, which must be said. But you have to infer and read between the lines that a lot of what he was saying was inferred that he was pushed out. This is a conspiracy theory, if you like, that me and a lot of Indian fans have, that this is retirement wasn't just a straight retirement. So the story goes, and I think this has been widely reported, so I'm not just kind of making this up. This has been widely reported that Rohit Sharma was also kind of told, look, we want to move on. We aren't really considering you going forward, or we want to give the captaincy to Shubman Gill, or something along those lines. He felt that he was being pushed out, so he retired. Kohli then approaches the BCCI and says, make me captain for the England series. I understand that you're trying to groom Shubman Gill as the next Test captain. Let me help him become captain. And the BCCI rejected these claims. In fact, they turned around and told him, we'll pick you for the first two tests of the England tour, and then we'll see. So somebody like Virat Kohli, the way he is as a person, but also what he's achieved in the game, that would have come out as nothing short of an insult. What do you mean, are you going to give me the first two tests? I've captained in England before. I've won tests in England before. I've virtually changed the entire culture of Indian Test cricket. You're going to give me two tests. It doesn't matter necessarily about the captaincy. When you're spoken to like that, it feels like he has to prove himself all over again. And his mentality is, I've already proven that I am still one of India's greatest batters. And in this current generation, I'd still be the greatest batsman in this format. I have still a lot to give to this team. And I should be treated as such. I should be treated as a legend that I am. Not necessarily special treatment, just an acknowledgement of what he's given to Indian cricket. I think is the lack of respect is what hurt him the most. One of the key parts of the interview was him saying, today my perspective is very clear. If I can add value to the environment that I'm part of, and the environment feels like I can add value, I will be seen. But if I'm made to feel like I need to prove my worth and my value, I'm not in that space. Because I'm being honest to my preparation, I'm being honest to how I approach the game. I put my head down, I work hard. I'm thankful to God for giving me everything that I've been given in my cricketing career. I feel blessed and grateful for the opportunity. And when I arrive to play, I put my head down. I work as hard, if not harder, than anyone else. And I play the game in the right way. You want me to run from boundary to boundary for 40 overs in an ODI game? I will do that without a complaint because I prepare accordingly. I prepare for the fact that I will field 50 overs, every ball like it's the last ball I'm going to play in my career, and I will bat that way, and I'll run between the wickets that way, and I'll do everything possible for the team. And after operating like this, if I have to be in a place where I have to prove my worth and value, that place is not meant for me to be. And I'm very clear in my head from that perspective. The moment I feel like people are trying to complicate it for me and be like, oh, but this and that, either be clear and honest up front or be quiet and let me play. So yeah, and then he goes on to speak about how much he enjoyed playing for Delhi last year in the Vijay Hazard Trophy, and he spoke about a lot of other things, but that was the real key, and how he enjoyed playing for his state helped him feel like a kid again, just enjoying batting for the sake of batting, which is obviously what he loves to do. So that clearly tells you there's an insight there, and there is something there. He's clearly telling that there are some backstage politics, there are people interfering, there are people getting involved that make him feel disrespected, that make him feel unvalued, and yeah, there are people around. He hasn't mentioned anyone by name. I think we can probably guess who they might be. I'm not going to say who they are, but I think, yeah, this has kind of confirmed a lot of widespread speculation by Indian cricket fans, or just cricket fans in general, that Kohli was pushed out or felt he wasn't being treated properly and had enough of it. Imagine he's probably had to face a lot of this his entire career. Remember, there still is a lot of murky feeling around the way he stepped down as captain. People are not 100% sure if he stepped down, was he forced out? There's conflicting theories and ideals about that, whether he genuinely wanted to quit as captain or did he step down as captain, was he pushed out? Everybody has theories about that. So if that was something that happened, if he was forced down as captain to then have to go through this sort of latter age of his career, and we do know, like, obviously Kohli's moved to London now, so he wants a bit of a quiet life to bring up his young family, away from the spotlight. He's been in the spotlight for so many years. His wife obviously is a famous actress, so they've lived their lives in the public eye. And it's obviously in India, it's intense if you're a celebrity. We all know that, especially if you're a cricketer and a Bollywood superstar or any language, any actor of any language. You're going to be in the public eye, and you can't really go anywhere. You can't live a life. But here in London, he's found some solace. And I guess maybe he's winding down. You see this Indian team struggling so much, and you still see Kohli performing at a high level. You still see Rohit Sharma playing at a high level, and you wonder why Ravichandran Ashwin also retired. When you see these three big names retire, and you definitely think that they didn't just leave because they had finished. These guys could still be playing for India. At the same time, they have all given their lives to Indian cricket, and they don't need this bureaucracy and nonsense going around, which is clearly is what it is. So a pretty eye-opening interview from Kohli. He's basically said that he was kind of disrespected, pushed out by the BCCI. The BCCI did not make him feel like they wanted him, which led to his ultimate, middle finger to you guys. I don't need this. I don't want this. You need to want me. If you want me to play, I'll represent the country. But if you are going to treat me like this, yeah, I don't need this. So it's a shame because we feel like it's a test career kind of cut short, despite the greatness in the numbers. I still feel like it's Kohli's only 36, 37, which is for a cricketer. You still feel like he has at least 4 or 5 years left in him in a test level, but not much we can do now. Some people will say, look, everybody has to retire eventually, which is true. All of the greats eventually retired, but I just think it's a little bit different. When Sachin left, it was definitely the right time. Probably he maybe overstayed his career by another year. Dravid, Lakshman, Ganguly, they all stayed until they could, until they retired, and we had to phase them out. Dhoni was the same. So every thing comes to an end eventually, but I really feel like we've been robbed of 2, 3, 4 years of King Kohli. Okay, India did do quite well actually in the series last year, in the 2-2 series, but again, how well could they have done with someone like Kohli in the team to guide them over, and that 2-2 becomes a 3-1. There's 2 or 3 test matches of that series which India should have won, that they either lost or didn't win, or that they lost. And I think if they had someone like Kohli in the team, they may have actually got over the line. We will never know, but what we do know for certain is that Kohli is kind of putting down a marker, and it's a smart PR move as well. You have to say that it's a smart move because now the pressure ramps back up to the BCCI, the coaching committee, and the coaching staff. This will now turn back on them. They're already under a lot of pressure from fans. Fans are not happy with them as it is, and this is not going to help when the Indian team congregate again, and Gautam Gambhir will be asked questions about this. I'll be very interested to hear what he has to say about that. It's also going to make it really interesting when the ODI team congregate again. And as I mentioned, we're going to be seeing a lot of the Indian ODI team now over the next year or so, because they're going to be doing a lot of preparation for the World Cup, which is next year. And we expect Kohli to be a part of those plans. So Gautam Gambhir is going to be asked a lot of questions. We already know that those two do not get on. Rohit and Gautam Gambhir also don't get along. And Gautam Gambhir is not an envious position there because those two are adored by the fans. He cannot go against them. He knows that he'll have a backlash. So anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. What do you guys think about Kohli's interview? Are you what are your thoughts? Could we still see a chance of Kohli returning to Test cricket? I mean, the answer is probably no. It's a far-fetched idea, but who knows? Maybe they see this and they realize, hey, we made a huge mistake, and they hand out an olive branch to Virat, and he does come back for one final swan song. Unlikely, but hey, stranger things have happened. But yeah, up till now, guys, make sure you leave a comment in the section below. Let us know your thoughts. If you've seen the whole interview, what were your thoughts about it? And yeah, please let us know what you think. But also make sure you give this video a like, a share, and also hit that subscribe button as well. I've been Sab. This has been the Clean Bowl Podcast, and we'll see you next time.